This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all.
Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and today I wanted to kind of split this thing into two perspectives. I want to first of all give you my perspective as a trader on what is happening in the Bitcoin price in the short to medium term, let's say the next month or two. And then what I want to do is kind of put that aside, because I know most people aren't traders. Most people are kind of just spectators in the market, right? They don't actively trade, they just buy and hold or DCA, whatever, that's fine. So I want to put my trading perspective aside, take off my trader's hat, and look at this thing as a Bitcoiner, a long-term holder, because these two perspectives are both simultaneously correct, but they're also quite opposite. And I understand most people are not used to holding two conflicting opinions and two conflicting ideas simultaneously. But hopefully, after today's episode, you'll be able to see that in the short term, we probably have to waste another month. And in the slightly longer term, this landscape is slowly but surely morphing into something that is even more bullish than I thought was possible. And keep in mind, I've been one of the biggest bulls out there. The entire time, my biggest crime really has been being too bullish. But it seems like as we continue to take this one day at a time, even I am not bullish enough. So I'm going to show you everything I'm looking at. And also, just as a quick announcement, we're going to be doing a lot more live streams on this channel. So if you're interested, hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on so that you can be notified when we go live. We're going to be doing a few more lives than we usually do going forward. Lots of people were asking me about the Bank of Japan's interest rate decision today. Are we going to get another yen carry trade unwind? The honest answer is nobody knows. If we do, we'll deal with it in real time as always, okay? I'm not sweating it, I'm not paying attention to it. If it's gonna happen, it will show up in the charts in no time and we'll be able to respond to that accordingly. So now let's deal with Bitcoin. In the short term here, it seems very, very likely to me, based on this price action right here, that we have to waste more time and find that daily and weekly cycle low. I've been presenting the same idea over and over again, that all of this to me speaks to needing to chop around weekly cycle low, and then we can actually blast off and get that double, which we've seen from every other weekly cycle low. We doubled from 49k to about 100. This weekly cycle low from back here was about 38k, and we, roughly speaking, doubled again, about 90% that time. This weekly cycle low, we went from 23 to about 50k, so again, another double, and from here we went from about 15 to about 30. So each time we get one of these weekly cycle lows in the blue, we typically see a double, and thus, there's no reason for me to doubt that at this stage. But of course, it does mean 30 days into the future probably needs to be wasted so that we can find that weekly cycle low first. And I know some people are calling for a big move like this to unfold from here. And of course, it's a market, anything can happen. But I think there's an interesting litmus test we can use here. And that is, let's say, okay, because we got long out of this cycle low and we had a stop somewhere in here. Now, in this instance, we got this weird back test and then a wick and we were stopped out. But let's just say hypothetically, okay, either the stop was wide enough not to get run in this instance, or even if we got in here, okay, and something like this. Here's the litmus test, okay? If this is a true weekly cycle low, if we really are about to explode higher, and this is what you were looking at, would you feel confident in this long? Because to me, this does not look right. If I was holding longs in here, even if I was in this trade, I would still be thinking to myself, I don't really like what I'm seeing. When you look at how rapidly we explode out of the prior cycle lows, particularly if something like this was on the table, to me, it just doesn't look like that. Now, fortunately for us, we are positioned for every possible outcome. So if this thing is about to rip like this, then the crypto-related equities will more than pay us and we'll be able to add some more positions when the market proves to me that it has underlying strength. But I think on a balance of probabilities here, it's pretty safe to say, especially given this, and the fact that so far all we did was just briefly run the stops from up here, okay, and then kind of chop around. It seems to me, when you add these two pieces of objective data that's in front of us to the fact we have not yet elapsed enough time to find a weekly cycle low, then something like this, as I keep saying, makes a bunch of sense to me. Which is good news because it means we get to load up here, and it also means that even though we were unfortunate to have the stop taken out here, we now get a second crack at it from later in life. So happy days, really, okay? That's from a trading perspective. It's pretty simple. This does not look like it has the regular strength that we would expect to see out of a cycle low, and thus it tells me we've probably got to waste another month before we can actually get to that weekly cycle low. But the good news is once we get there, happy days long and strong. So that's my trading perspective, right? Not really a great deal to write home about, not really a great deal to be excited about. What about if you are not a trader? What about if you're not concerned with the day-to-day fluctuations? What about if you're a long-term holder and you believe that this year is going to continue to be more and more bullish for Bitcoin? Well, everywhere I look, fundamentally, there seems to be some of the biggest improvements in the backdrop for Bitcoin that I have seen in the entire time I've been doing this. I've been in this crypto space since about 2017, 2018, and I can't remember a time where this space looked anything like it does today. First of all, we had the courts lift the OFAC sanctions on Tornado Cash. So Tornado Cash, for anyone that doesn't know, is a coin mixer. A year or two ago, they made this thing illegal to use. But since then, okay, we've lifted the sanctions. You're now allowed to mix your coins with Tornado Cash. So massive improvement. If you want to mix your coins and maintain some privacy, you can now do that. We've also got DT, okay, the new president, of course, stating that he wants the US to be the world capital of AI and crypto. And from here, it just keeps on getting more and more insane. We've got the US Strategic Bitcoin Reserve pretty much confirmed, at least according to CZ. And you can see here this post from Cynthia Loomis stating that Congress needs to urgently pass a bipartisan legislation establishing a comprehensive legal framework for digital assets and that strengthens the US dollar with a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So it seems they really are pushing for this. And what are the implications of this? I mean, it's just absolutely insane, right? We haven't ever seen this kind of bullishness in the backdrop for Bitcoin before. And the thing is, we're not even close to done yet, because a bill to invest up to 10% of public employee retirement funds in Bitcoin ETFs has been tabled by a Kansas senator. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Do you know how much money 10% of public employee retirement funds is? And to give you some kind of context, right, Standard Chartered says that the institutional flows in Bitcoin this year are going to exceed last year, and that fresh capital will likely come from pension funds. And keep in mind, those pension funds manage around $12 trillion. 10% of 12 trillion is a double in the market cap for Bitcoin, right? I mean, this is serious. This is a serious amount of inflow. And again, we also see the SEC officially rescind SAB 121, which was the act that prevented banks from custodying Bitcoin, but they can now custody and loan against Bitcoin. So we could be just weeks to months away from you opening your standard banking app and there being a Bitcoin tab in there. Just how we got the Coinbase and the on-ramps and off-ramps and exchanges type deal. Imagine if that's going to be soon integrated into your normal banking apps. And then you can allow the bank to custody your Bitcoin and the bank will lend against it. I mean, how do you even factor in how bullish this is? Now, I should state here, this is not something a real Bitcoiner would ever do, loan their Bitcoin to a bank and let the bank lend against it. But believe me, a lot of people that are in this space are not real Bitcoiners. They don't care, right? They really don't. And they will do this, and this will put an enormous bid under Bitcoin. And in addition to all of this, we've also got Trump now signing a bill to ban CBDCs in the United States of America. Bitcoin, of course, is the antithesis of a CBDC. So this is absolutely wild, right? Wild, wild, wild times. But we're not even done yet, okay? Let me play you this clip of Larry Fink from BlackRock.
As a huge believer of crypto and blockchain and tokenization, I mean, I want the SEC to rapidly approve the tokenization of bonds and stocks. That will simplify things, make things easier. Some of the tax on BlackRock would never have to vote on a proxy vote anymore because every owner of record would be notified through a tokenization of equities. And it would save more money for more people. It would bring down the cost of ownership of stock and bonds. So those are the type of financial reforms we need. Right.
So there you have it. Tokenization of everything, including bonds and stocks. I mean, nobody is ready for this. This is going to be so different to what we're used to. This is going to be unrecognizable. And really, if even half of this stuff is to continue to play out, then nobody is bullish enough. So it's a really strange place for me to be because Trader Camel says, this chart looks an awful lot like it needs to waste another 30 odd days, find a weekly cycle low, and then we can talk. But Camel, the Bitcoin believer, is looking at all of this stuff and saying to himself, how on earth do you arrive at a reasonable top price prediction? How on earth do we pick a number that we say, yeah, that is reasonable to be a top? I have no idea. Although one possible metric that we could use is that historically speaking, when the 200-week SMA reaches the level of the prior all-time high, we see the tops come in for Bitcoin. So it'll be pretty interested to see if we can get the white, which is the 200 weekly moving average, get right up to this level of around 69K with the Bitcoin price doing something like this. Maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to use that to mark the top. Some other kind of semi-arbitrary metrics we could use to try to find a reasonable top price forecast are the things like top cap in blue, delta top in purple, and terminal price in red. If the Bitcoin price, which is in black, can catch up with any one of these, okay, then we're going to be somewhere between 194K and 450K. These numbers seem crazy to a lot of people. But again, against this backdrop of everything I've shown you today, it's kind of hard to think that we're not at least going to get somewhere up into this neighborhood. So super wild times to be alive. I know a lot of people don't like the idea that I have to hold two kind of contradictory stances at the same time. And if I was not a trader, then I would just be like, yeah, bullish, right? Bullish is going up. And you could tune in every day and I would never have a different opinion. It would always be bullish until such time as the market tops. But obviously, I hope you can appreciate as a trader, I have to look at this and say, this just doesn't look to me like this is what comes next. In fact, it looks an awful lot to me like this is what comes next, as I keep saying over and over again. So yeah, in the short term, I have to kind of hold this as the idea. But in the long term, it does seem like nobody, including me, is bullish enough. Still no sign of a daily cycle low for the dollar just yet. So we'll see if we can confirm one with a trendline break in the not too distant future. I would think when we do, what we get is the dollar move higher, and that, after forcing a cycle low and confirming with a trendline break, should also put a top in the current daily cycle for gold, right? So I would think that as the dollar finds its daily cycle low, we get a daily cycle high for gold, a decline into a cycle low like this, and then gold should continue to rip. Whilst the dollar, if it's going to top for the weekly cycle, should start to do something like this into a weekly cycle low, if of course that's on the table. We've done Bitcoin to death. You know what I think of Bitcoin. And for the stock market, I think we can practically invalidate this whole yellow squiggle idea of mine, which is quite good news, because if the stock market's got more legs, that means so does Bitcoin probably. But once again, I point at this and I say, this is probably what's coming, okay? Something like this. So once more, I'm in no rush here. I think we'll get a nice pullback, probably a wave 2. To buy, and then I think we'll be able to catch the rest of this move in here. I still remain in a patient stance for the stock market. I'm in no real rush. I've got plenty of positions, gold mining stocks, crypto mining stocks, all of that kind of thing in the members section. So as ever, I want to continue to take my time. I can see more and more buy setups being produced, and as these initial positions continue to move into profit, then I can allow that profit to finance risk on additional trades. So the same stuff works over and over and over again. If we can get that big range for Bitcoin, then of course this right here becomes a nice opportunity to get behind some more longs for the crypto market. But again, it's probably going to take about 30 days to get there. So that's it from me. I hope you're doing well in life. I hope you have a great weekend. And until next time, all the best. Cheers. Bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see, rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame, sticking to his guns in his money game. He's a badass, oh yes indeed. Camel Finance got the markets key, taking us normies on a